are a family of 6, and we have taken our kids snowboarding since they were babies. Here are our favorite 10 tips so that you can have a successful snowboarding trip with your kids. Number 1, common sense, but dress for the weather. Know all of the layers, so make sure the kids have thermals, a mid layer if it's really cold, and then their outside waterproof layer. They need something underneath their helmet to keep their ears and face warm, and it'll be different maybe for each kid. 2 of our kids love just a covering that covers their head, and then they wear a gaiter for their face. 2 of our other kids love a full face covering, so it really just depends. I also pack an extra couple of those because sometimes they can get wet, which will make your kid uncomfortable. Don't forget waterproof gloves. They are the most important thing of keeping those kids warm. Also, the hand warmers that can fit inside the gloves, those are really perfect too. They're gonna need wool socks. They're also gonna need goggles and helmets. Helmets you can usually rent, but make sure that you have your own goggles and fog spray for those goggles. Make sure that that gear fits them perfectly. Have them roll around in it, squat, stand up. I know for our kids, we've experienced things that they're trying on gear and maybe it's last year's gear and they're thinking, oh yeah, it fits, it's fine. And they're moving on to whatever they were doing. And then we get to the mountain and, oh yeah, those pants are a little tight, or that jacket is a little short. So really focus on making sure that they can move around comfortably. Snow's not going to get in anywhere. If they're miserable, you're miserable. So we want to make sure that they're as comfortable as possible and that everything fits great. So speaking of renting, that brings us to number 2. Are you renting or buying your gear? We have all of our gear from the goggles and the clothes. And then we rent boards, bindings, obviously, boots, and helmets at the mountain. You can rent in town sometimes. Sometimes there are rentals in town that are sister companies of what is on the mountain. And that's really great for you to rent the day before. Or they're just their own standalone thing. We have done both, but I strongly suggest you rent from the mountain. On more than one occasion, we've had something break or we've gotten to the mountain and decided we needed a different size of something. So if you're renting on the mountain, it's a super easy fix. I also strongly suggest that when you're renting, you go the night before if you can. There's nothing like waiting in line that day of when your kids are uncomfortable and anxious, and it just doesn't make for such a fun experience. If you rent the night before, you have plenty of time to test out that gear, practice putting on your shoes and things like that. Which brings us to number 3, practice. Practice on flat ground at your condo or even at home. Practice putting on the gear, making sure they know that the socks go over the thermals, the gloves go over the jacket, even doing the shoes. If you can have at least 1 or 2 of your kids do their shoes on their own, that's awesome. It's really hard for snowboarding to, if they are lace-up shoes, it's totally different than the ones that you just like pull. So the shoes are different. So practicing that at home, even if it just is one kid that's able to do it and you can focus on your other kids. For us, having the 4 kids, those first years of like trying to put 4 kids' shoes on was a mess. So really practice at home and so that they know what it all feels like and what it should feel like. Practice balancing, practice strapping in. So strapping into your snowboard when they're little, the bindings are a little bit different, but practice sitting down, what it's going to feel like, and strapping into the board. They can get, if the quicker they can get more comfortable with that, then the better. Practice unclipping one foot, and if you can outside in the snow, push on that other foot so that they know what it feels like when they're getting onto the magic carpet or onto a lift. Lesson number 4, speaking of magic carpets, make sure that you pick a resort that is kid friendly. One that has plenty of greens, and I personally like the ones that all funnel down to one place. So if you're not going with your kids, so maybe it's like your second or third time and they're going with another parent, or even if they're going with the instructor, you can sit at the base and see them come down. I personally love that. But make sure that you're going to a mountain that has a magic carpet. Some of them have multiple. So make sure you're really looking at that and how many bunny slopes, kid-friendly areas there are for your beginner to snowboard on. Number 5, take a lesson. They can learn better from a professional than they can from you. Even if you're the best teacher in the world, Sometimes hearing it from a stranger is just the best way to go. We've done lessons with our kids the first year, and then my husband's great at teaching snowboarding, so he was able to kind of piggyback on all that afterwards. And we've done lessons since then, just like catch-up lessons. So if you can, they are expensive, but the more lessons that they can have, the better. They're going to feel more comfortable going on runs with you at the end of the day after they've had that lesson all day. Also a chance for you to enjoy some solo runs on your own. Number 6, manage expectations. And that's yours and the kids. So we always talk to them about what it's going to be like on the mountain, reminding them, that first day is always really hard. But especially if it's their first time ever, they need to know that they're not going to be professional snowboarders after one trip. So they've really got to know that you're going to fall. You're going to fall a lot. I'm going to fall a lot. Let them know that it's normal and manage those expectations for them. Also, the expectations for you. They may not like it. And how are you going to handle that? Everybody, can choose how they want to handle that on their own. But don't think that because my kid is sporty and athletic, they're going to get out there and really enjoy snowboarding. That's not always the case. I think that you can fall in love with it the more you do it, and it doesn't just take one trip. The kids have to be open-minded. Snowboarding can be challenging, and kids might feel frustrated because the progress can be very slow. I know adults feel frustrated too learning because the progress is slow. But you celebrate the small wins, like mastering a simple turn or staying balanced for a few seconds. Keep the mood light and fun and try not to harp on them. Number 7, pack essentials. You want to be prepared for anything on the mountain. As our kids have gotten older, they take water backpacks. Now they will freeze, so you have to put them in between your jacket and your back and not on the outside. But they've taken those. Make sure that you've got walkie-talkies or anything that can communicate with maybe different groups. Snacks, water, sunscreen, lip balm, extra gloves, a dry pair of socks, hand warmers. Those are things that can make or break a day. So it would include not just snacks, but candies, Hershey Kisses. If a kid's falling or having a hard time, let's take a Hershey Kiss break. We do that all the time. You can buy hot cocoa on the mountain, but if you have their favorite snack with you, you can give it to them on a lift before they go down on a run or immediately after they did something great. It's just a little way to celebrate. So pack their favorite candies or gum. If you can take extra gaiters or extra gloves, they are going to get wet. They are going to fall. They're going to lick their lips constantly. My kids, I have 2 that just, their mouth thing is always wet, always. So I always bring extras and we change throughout the day. Number 8, take frequent breaks. If you have a lot of kids, you're probably taking a ton of breaks. When they were little, someone always had to go to the bathroom. So we're constantly rotating and taking off the layers and going to the bathroom. But even besides the bathroom breaks, take breaks. If they are wet or if they are getting really cold, take that hot chocolate break, take the sit by a fire, take the let's find all outfits in the color of the rainbow. Go sit by the fire and people watch. Something that me and one of my sons do is find colors in the rainbow in people's outfits. So we look for jackets that are red. Now we're finding a jacket that's orange. Play little games. If someone is absolutely miserable on the mountain, you don't want them to think of that experience, but something about taking a small little break, eating a cookie, and then they're good to go after. Number 9, prioritize safety. Always make sure they wear their helmets and they understand the basic safety rules. My youngest loved to go fast when he was little. He just wanted to zoom down the mountain. So let them know that that's not okay and make sure that they know why. And again, teach them how to fall if needed. And our last and one of the most important is make sure it's fun. We want them to fall in love with snowboarding so you have a family tradition that they can carry on and then do with their families. Keep the energy lighthearted. Play games, jokes, sing when you're on the lift going up. It can be scary for them. So sing on the lift where you're going up or point down to fun things. Just try to engage and make sure it's as fun as possible for them. Where are you guys going snowboarding this year? Let us know in the comments. Tell us if you have any tips that maybe I didn't think of, and we will see you next time.